The advertising industry in Nigeria, and I would say across Africa and the world at large, has become one of the biggest industries in the world. And as the world gradually becomes a global village, a lot of advertisers has taken their product online to attract more interest. Now, in the last 5 years in Nigeria, there has been information being passed by the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria that they are about to vet online advertising, and that has been greeted, I would say, with a lot of mixed feelings. Today we're in the office of the Executive Director and the Chief Executive Officer of Arcon, Dr. Olakekan Fadolapo. Thank you for having us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes. Now, based on what has been happening right now, in the last 5 years, we've been hearing there's going to be online vetting, you're going to start vetting online adverts. And on the 1st of March, we're supposed to commence that. What has happened to that date? Is it still on?
Well, number one, the media, as we know, is divided into two. We have the traditional media and we have the new media. The law states that all advertisements on all platforms must be vetted, pre-approval vetting, before exposure. Now, what we are doing is that the new media, which is like the online, the social media platform and everything, they've not been within this captured. So we are expanding the dragnet to that sector or that space. So what we have done was to add series of engagements before we finally decided that we need to go online. You also note that most of the materials that will not be approved for exposure on the traditional media, the broadcast, the print, and the out of home, they will find their way, or they are finding their way to social media platforms. So many shenanigans are happening there. The level of unethical practices is just unimaginable. So what we are doing in line with our law is to expand our dragnet, our regulatory framework to the digital media or the online media.
Now, so how do you intend to carry that out? Understanding that we need to get some form of certification, approval certificates before and give it to, let's say, a media house in the area of traditional medias. Now, here we have influencers, we have bloggers, we have skit makers from different parts of the world. Most of them are not even in Nigeria. Okay. So how do you intend to control that atmosphere?
As you are aware, technology will definitely play a major role in that conversation. Now, in that space, we have what we call the primary digital media space owners, and we have the secondary digital media space owners.
Okay.
Now, the primary digital media space owners are the platform owners, like Meta, owning Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, like Google, like Twitter. They own that platform. Now, the secondary digital media space owners are the ones that live on the platform. Their own ownership of space is within a particular platform.
Sure.
For example, if you talk about the bloggers, they are hosted by Google in most cases. If you talk about some people, influencers that are on Instagram, they don't own Instagram, but they own a space within Instagram. Some of them own a space within Facebook. So we have the secondary digital media platform owners. Now, what have we done? We wrote to the primary digital media space owners to start the engagement.
Okay.
We have had discussion with some of them. We have made appreciable progress. We need to agree advertising protocol to ensure that vetting is done. Now, we can't do monitoring from our phone. We need to work with them see how they can open their back end. We agree a protocol which will be there. This happens in other climes and other countries. If you go to Saudi Arabia, for example, there are some things that are banned, and you know that this thing are standard. You don't go near it at all. There are some people that will not come out as model. You don't use a woman who is not covering her hair, who is just throwing herself around for any advert in that client. So there are some procedures that we need to agree in terms of protocol. Now, the primary digital media space owners that have not responded to our letter or choose to ignore our letter, we're already in court with them. We are in court with some. So because we also need to use the force of law to bring everybody to the table. Now, for the secondary digital media space owners, we've had series of discussion, engagements, we wrote, we did press release. I had meetings with some of them. Sometimes last month, if I'm right, around February, we also had a seminar where we had that seminar at Leola Hotel where we explained the principles, the rationale behind this whole policy. As you may be aware, a few days ago, this Easter period, some of the adverts that we are run on the digital media, online media, some of them are completely unfettered. So what we have done is we're really going to go after them. The level of shenanigans, unethical, unwholesome advertising practice in that space can just be imagined. And we cannot just allow that space to be unauthorized.
Allow me to, come into the area of the primary platform, or should I say primary owners, platform owners.
Yeah.
Let me use myself, let's say, as an influencer. I come on a platform, I register. To be on that platform is not free. I use my data. And when I want to also promote myself, maybe what I do, I would also pay for data. Wouldn't you see it as a multiple taxation in a way if an influencer starts to either pay before he or she advertises on that same platform that is already buying data for and also running advertising?
Now, the fact that you are a space owner does not give you authority over that space alone. Like even in the Constitution, your right stops where it infringes on my rights.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two is that whatever you have bought a land and you wanted to build a house, you still need to go back to the government for permits because everything must align. Now, let me state this again and again. Arcon is not regulating social media.
Okay.
So let's get that. If you look at that space, there's information, there's entertainment. So we're not going into information. We're not going into entertainment. We are not regulating the skit makers. But when you are moving from your space to our own space, which is advertising, that is what we are regulating. Now, last week, some people called me. There was a skit maker that was using a small child abuse, promoting child abuse.
Yes, we all saw that.
So, and everybody started calling. This is why we said, Arcon, you should go after. And I would say, no. This is for another government agency.
What government agency regulates that?
I think it should either be the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation or the NIPDA. But they regulate information and entertainment. The Nigerian police is also there. So now, it has nothing to do with advertisement. So that is the only reason why we can go there. It's not within our scope. If now it's within our own scope. For example, last year, some influencers came to say, I endorse this property and the sales of this property. Now, I'm coming back to say, I discovered that they are fraudulent. And I've encouraged all of you guys to buy. I am sorry. You can check. I think recently, one of the influencers in US was sanctioned $2 million or fined $2 million or $3 million for crypto business that she came to. I just don't want to start mentioning that she came to. So you don't just come, endorse a product, and come back and say, sorry, I discovered after I've asked you guys to go in that it is fraudulent.
But allow me to, now let's come to the area, of endorsement. How can supposed to go after these influencers or the companies that engage the services of these influencers? Let's go by the traditional way. If I'm a model and I'm going on a billboard, would I need to get permission to model for that brand?
No. What actually happened is this. I think we need to get the definition clear.
Clear, yes, exactly.
Now, if you are an influencer and you are acting as a model, you have not violated any law.
Okay.
Because that material is supposed to be sent in and approved. And while we are sending them in, there are some back-end check they do. Now, if you are an influencer, you own your own space. So you become a digital media space owner, just like a television station. Now, you now decide, because you own your space, that you can do anything with that space. Now, if you are in the space, if you are doing advertising, information, entertainment, and all those things, we don't have anything to do. But immediately you cross that line into brand management, advertising, then you have done something that is illegal. So if a brand approaches you and tells you that you need to promote this product, you have the ASP, that's the Advertising Standard Panel. Now, they have different vetting windows. They have a vetting window for 8 hours. They have a vetting window for 16 hours. They have a vetting window for 2 weeks. Now, you should have known that this material I am putting on my page must have been vetted. Now, if you are doing it, you are becoming more like a television station because you are using your own platform
to propagate a message.
So, if you have done it as a model and they have taken it out to another medium, we will be talking to the medium because the advertiser is guilty, the advertising agency is guilty, and the media owner. So we're not looking at the influencers and script makers as model. We are looking at them as medium owners, and they need to ensure that anything that is put on their medium complies with the law.
Well, that is interesting. Now, so what kind of ads do you see? Because, I mean, in most of the press statements that we read about, you said some of them are unethical and embarrassing. What product or what service would you term as unethical on the digital space?
Okay. Let me first look at this issue generally.
Okay.
Now, look at the level of adverts, the number of adverts you see on drugs. You see sex enhancement, you see superlative words being used, like if you use this, it will enlarge, this is the best, this is, so many things. Now, the law says all adverts must be prevented if they're going to be directed, targeted, or exposed at mediums in Nigeria. So the first thing is, whatever you are doing, the first thing to submit is for check, vetting and approval. So whatever you are doing, now there are two classes of advertisement that are exempted from vetting.
Okay.
One, obituary. Two, vacancy ads. So those are the two. Goodwill message, every other brand communication, they must be vetted. So the fact that you have not vetted your material before going for exposure is a crime.
Now, so it's good that we're having this conversation, but how affordable, is, the certification when it comes to getting approval? You've talked about the hours, the days and the weeks that it takes, depending on how urgent, that ad is. But what's the amount, if you can, give us like general figures? Because we have, on the online space, we have a lot of MSMEs and SMEs, people who are just beginning to find their footing, in the online space. Okay. So is it the same rate with what the traditional means of advertising would
So we had a meeting last week. That's the management of Arcon.
Okay.
And what we are doing so far is to look at the entire cost structure and see how we can readapt it. Now, why are we doing that? Currently, we are talking to NASMI, the Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Scale Industry, Enterprise, And you know, within that space, we have the nano, we have the macro, we have the mini, and two, most of the campaigns on this online media, they don't run like a year that we have in the traditional space. So what we have currently is 25,000 for the vetting of a normal one. Then if you are doing accelerated vetting, that's another level on its own. Now, what have we done? The committee is to come back. That's the small committee that we set up. They're looking at how we can ensure that we have, if the budget, look at the budget on most of this online media, is always very small. It's like a 2-3 days thing. And so we're looking at how do we ensure that we encourage the small, medium, the nano classes to ensure that whatever they are doing within their space is still acceptable. So the committee is yet to come back to us, and I'm sure before the end of this month or early next month, we will be coming up with another course structure that can be more accommodating to everybody. So we're looking at it in terms of, okay, if they are campaign, for online campaign, let's say a max of 3 months, because of the currency involved in online campaign. These are some of the things that the committee has been asked to do. And as soon as they come back to us, I'm sure we should be able to share the information.
All right, so when we return, yes, we'll be looking at the penalties that are attributed to people who don't follow due process. Stay tuned. The Amina Atairu Show, finding answers. Thank you for always staying tuned. It is the Amina Atairu Show, and we're at the office of the Director General of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria. And of course, we still have Dr.Olakekan Fadolapo. Sir, penalties. What are the penalties that have been outlined for people who, at the end of the day, don't seem to get, let me say, the certification from these companies before they endorse them?
Okay. First of all, we don't regulate endorsements.
Okay.
So what we regulate is advertising, advertisement, and marketing communication. So where we, as gatekeeper of advertising, work is if you expose an advertisement or advertising or marketing communication material without being approved, then you have committed an offense. That's a violation. That's an infraction on the law. Now, if that is done, the law stipulates that minimum of 500,000, minimum, and it can go as much as prosecution in terms of criminal prosecution. And so it starts from, if you are like a first offender and we look at the severity of the materials involved, minimum of 500. But
Okay.
it can move from there to bigger issues like imprisonment, like criminal
Oh,
cases.
wow. So for an offense of, for a payment of 25,000 naira, there could be a penalty of 500,000 naira.
That's even one of the problems we are having. You know, the 500,000 is so small. There are some people who can tell you that, let me pay so that I can violate.
I can violate.
So I'll pay in advance because I want to go. So
Violate.
we are even looking at it and say, how do we get to a point that the fine and sanction is a deterrent? Look at, if you are talking to a big company and you tell them that, look, if you put that advert out, they're going to pay 500,000. They will tell you, okay, let me just pay you in advance so I can commit this crime. Those are some of the challenges that we have. But you know, this thing is enshrined in the law. You have to go back to the National Assembly to get it.
So I still need one clarification here. I endorse a brand. I tell somebody, come and buy this product. I am using it on my skin. Let's say beauty products. I'm using it on my skin. I'm not violating anything for endorsing that product, am I?
No.
Oh, great. So the company that we're going after are the advertisers themselves, the
and
owners.
The media owners, the media space owners. Now, let me give you a small scenario.
Okay.
So you are a model, influencer, and you have a lot of followers. So a product A, has come to you to say, endorse our product and do more like an advertisement for us. Now, the company, after you have done that material, that advertising campaign for them, the material, you are supposed, the law requires that you send it to us. We vet to be sure that it's in line with the law. It's legal, it's decent, it promotes unity and all those things. They look at everything, the sensitivity of the religion, the ethnics and all those things. So they come back to you to say it's approved. Then you can go and deploy on the media.
Oh, amazing.
Now, you are a model. Company A has approached you and say, do this material for us. You have done the material for them and you have returned it to them. Now, company A has gone to a television station to show it. That means that you are not the media space owner. The television station that exposed that material without approval will be held responsible. Now, if you now go ahead, after doing the material for them, you now put it on your own page.
Without approval?
Without approval. That is where you get guilty. So if you do it for them as a model without using your own space, we will look at you as a digital media space owner.
Aha. So at that point in time, I
That
become
is
liable.
where the violation.
Okay, so just so round up now. So how has that implementation been so far?
Well, it's been working well. Like regulation, you need to keep on improving, and that's one of the things in our own space. The least you expect that will violate, sometimes you just wake up, you see that those are the people that are violating, and every other time you have to run around and ensure that there's compliance. The way people are, there's traffic and they see a BRT lane and somebody will say, somebody should just take their hand. So we need to keep monitoring to ensure that at least people are aligning. This is one of the things I've said to people. One, we have advertising practitioners. All of us are monitoring officers. Nigerians as Nigerians, being a Nigerian also make you a monitoring officer. If you see any violation, any ad that violates ethical issues, please feel free to reach out to us. The reason why we are here is to ensure there's sanity in that market.
Okay.
There's sanity in that space. So if you find any advertising that you think is unethical, please flag it and send it to us. We will do the right thing and we'll make sure that whoever violates the law will be treated as such.
Amazing, amazing conversation here. Now, have the regulatory body, has Arcon thought about engaging the services of these influencers to propagate this message about, the online, advertising on the digital space?
Engagement is a continuous process. You cannot stop. Even now, we are still doing engagement.
Yes, that's
and
right.
I've had one-on-one with some of them that said we will speak with our colleagues. I've had conversation with some agencies that work with them and say, don't worry, we will speak with them. If you look at the level of, we received a letter from NYC, and they told us that, look, some of the advertisements are done with NYC uniform. These are corpers that are serving. But that is not in their primary duty of youth service. So they are not supposed to be using it. But you will see a skit maker who is a youth corper come out, bring some brand, and so many shenanigans. So we have to call some of them. We have to do a cutoff that after 1st of March, anyone found wanting, we will have no other option than to sanction. Because we had several months of engagement, several months of discussion. So, but to us, engagement is a continuous thing, and we are open to engagement. We are open to how we can improve the advertising regulatory space.
Amazing. So how do the online small businesses who wants to run adverts and who wants it vetted, how do they reach out to Arcon?
The ASP email is there.
Okay.
Our ASP phone number is there, and I don't have them offhand here, but the email is there, the contact information is there, and they can just send it by mail. Everything can be done with minimum physical interface.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Thank you very much, Dr. Olakekan Fadolapo, the Director General of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, Arcon. It's always good to stay in touch with information and ensure that you follow principles and guidelines so we don't get into trouble. Thank you very much for always staying tuned to the Amina Atairu Show. My name is Amina. Until next time, please stay out of trouble.